Hey guys, this is Nyrel here. Obviously, this is going to be a very much so impromptu video because I'm much so in art block right now. So how I help myself process art block is to redraw things or just do whatever to kind of keep my mind off me being original right now. So I thought it would be really cool to actually find a scene in a manga that you either read or have read and just redraw it in your own style. So I caught up with a manga that I've been off and on reading. I will try to like babyfy the name of it because the name of it is kind of kinky. Not too bad, but it's kind of kinky. So I'm just going to simplify it on the screen so you guys can check it out if you want to check it out. But I highly recommend young is not to read it because it does have some smexy stuff in it. So just that's the warning I'm giving you guys. But the main guy, he's kind of hot. One particular screenshot, I'm like, yo, I really want to redraw this in my own style. Right, so this is the guy in which I'm drawing. If I remember correctly, his name is Keto. I actually have different images of him actually picked, so that was one of them. And then this was the second one, and then this is the third one, but just kind of like the first one, but in a different angle. But I was like, I really don't want to draw no pictures like that right now, because I don't want to think about how to get the angling right. So I felt like a frontal one type of shot would be literally best for me. But yeet, so this is what I'm going to be drawing. Alrighty guys, so we are now in the speed paint portion for this video. So I do apologize if I happen to cough, sniff, or do any of that sorts because I think I'm actually now getting affected by the pollen. So I do apologize. Oh my gosh, I hate getting sick. It's like one of the most miserablest things ever. But you know, your body has to like let its defenses go down at some point in your life so you can get sick and just get over it and live your life to the fullest. So I do heavily apologize. I do have water, so if I feel my throat getting dry, I am equipped to handle that. I am equipped to keep it moist at all times. But anyways, like I said, we're in the speed paint portion of this video. So for this picture, I decided to use my Prismacolor colored pencils. I did make swatch cards of his skin and his hair. So I will link all of that down below if you guys really want to follow how I colored his skin and his hair, because I know those certain areas are kind of tough for people to follow along. Even when you first get into colored pencils, because colored pencils is just that medium that's weird with everybody. So again, if I can help you out, I will help you out. So look in my description box down below to get all the colors in which I use on his skin and his hair. So yeah, I got you, fam. So yeah, I use colored pencils. I decided to use a new technique with my coloring, at least for his skin wise. I decided to go dark to light, and I quickly figured out that I hate that because normally with color pencils I do light to dark because at least that gives me the direction I can go in to applying the dark shades and the light shades. So I literally went hard with dark to light in this section, and then after a while I'm like, nope, and I switched back to my normal style with his neck. And I think at some point I do go over his face with a kneaded eraser because it just got muddy way too quick, and I'm like, you know, coloring a new way is fun, but with colored pencils I just gotta go my own way because it is not fun, guys. It's very not so fun. So I'm sorry to this very gorgeous man to have two different coloring styles on his face and neck. I apologize legit heavily. 생각은 동전이란 같아서 뒤에
너의 꿈이 다르듯이 밤은 같지만 너의 밤은 어땠는지 이렇게 별이 많은 밤에 이 많은 밤에 수고했어 이 많은 밤에 이 많은 밤에 잊어버리지는 마 소중한 late night 잊어버리지는 마 왜냐면 너의 색깔은 blue 새벽에 떨어져 버린 blue 하늘이 파란색인 you 너에게서 I can see the last night last night last night last night 한결편안해 지고했어 오늘 밤에도 애가 또 있어줘서 좋은 꿈 해본지를 했어 요즘 새벽에는 소음이 늘었어 왜냐면 너의 색깔은 blue
Alrighty guys, so now that I have finished his face, well the main colors of his face, I am now going in with the darker shades, which is my brown, and then later on I add pink to his skin, so he's going to be living his best freaking life, because you know, I can't keep my characters basic anymore guys, because I notice when I see people color with a lot of colors, I notice they use unnatural colors in skin, and I'm like, bruh, I would never do that because it looks weird, but just seeing how they process adding in that color with the other colors like wows me. So I'm like, you know what, I'm just gonna go baby steps with adding unnatural colors until I get comfortable with it, so then I can be like, yo, I'm adding blue here, I'm adding purple here, I'm adding red here. I'm just gonna use all the colors of the rainbow on his skin to make him pop. But anyways, like there's certain colors in which you're like, oh, okay, it would be nice here because blues and purples are really nice colors to add on skin to kind of give it a more cooler and warmer effect. But I'm just trying to experiment, guys. Experimentation is my middle name right now, and I'm living for it. But again, when I'm adding the darker shades now, I'm just adding it like I naturally color, so I wasn't scared anymore to go in with all the darker tones. But one key fact that I always do is I add the darker tone, but I do go back over it with the peachy tones because I don't like my darker shades standing out way too much. At least my browns, I don't like them standing out a lot because it just kind of looks strong. So I go back over it with the peach like you're seeing me do now to kind of cool it off. But when I do use unnatural colors, I kind of like them to shine a little bit more. So you will see that when I add the pink in his skin because I want it to shine. I don't want it to kind of be subtle within the other colors, but I think it's fun just kind of experimenting with different things, though I will say to practice before you preach because I don't want you being like, oh, it's cool, but when you actually sell it, you're like, oh, it's not as good as I thought I would. Think it is, but like once you practice it, then you can preach it because you'll love it a little bit more than you thought you would love it. So again, don't go into a video or don't record yourself doing an effect on a drawing when you're actually making it as a video because you will regret it later. That is the reason why anything that I do, I practice beforehand so I know when I'm going into a video, I'll love it just as much.
내가 꿈꾼과 너의 꿈이 다르듯이 밤은 같지만 너의 밤은 어땠는지 이렇게 별이 많은 밤에 이 많은 밤에 수고했어 이 많은 밤에 이 많은 밤에 잊어버리지는 마 소중한 late night 잊어버리지는 마 왜냐면 너의 색깔은 새벽에 떨어져 버린
Alrighty guys, so now I'm coloring his hair. So he is a blondie, a very strong blondie. But I would say, let me drink some water first. Okay. So I would say for blonde hair, I am like gonna hecka recommend this, but yet in the video, you're like, no, you're not doing that. But I was limited to my colors. But again, do not use so obvious yellows with blonde hair because it just makes it bland, in my opinion. Yeah, you can use obvious yellows from the shading for blonde hair, but I will go into blonde hair using more subdued colors because it makes it look less, straight in your face, if you kind of get what I'm saying. And I always add brown in my blonde hair. I use brown as the shade because it takes away from so much yellow that you're just like, wow, there's something different I can look at, So I think just brown is like the magical color to add to yellow. Anything that won't change yellow as much, because if you add red to yellow hair, it turns orange. If you add blue, it turns green. And if you add brown, nothing changes. Nothing changes. And I just feel like there's so many colors that you can add to yellow to change it into a different color that it's hard to make another color stay pigmented. So I would say brown is your magical color. Like, brown works. But yeah, so please just use not so vibrant yellows and just use brown because it'll rock your world with blonde hair. I actually do not like coloring blonde hair, to be honest. I rarely have any characters in my roster that have blonde hair. I have Rohei, I have Nick, I have Rohei's mom Nicole, I have my mouse baby Russell with blonde hair. I don't remember any of my other characters with blonde hair. I just don't like blonde hair because I don't want to sit there and put myself through more trouble than it's worth. But again, if you like blondies, that's all I can really say to help you color blonde hair. But I will say this, blonde is actually a really nice color to do ombres. Like, it's really nice to blend other colors with it, like pink. You can have a nice cotton candy type of vibe if you add pink to blonde. I just really like it with ombres and other effects. But if you just want a blonde-headed person, just, it's a whole crap show that I don't want to go through. But I kind of wish I did add the top of this character's head because I kind of found it weird adding, lines where I'm like, they probably wouldn't be there if he did have a top of his head. But since I wanted to stay true to the actual panel, I just kind of had to work with what I got. But it came out good. I think it turned out okay. But again, it's just an experience that everyone has to go through for a part of their art life.
뒤집어 생각하란 말에 머릿속을 돌아다녔어 오늘 어떤 면이 볼까 이유 없이 찾아는 오지 마라 기지개 편 다음 이불을 뺐으니까 내가 꿈과 너의 꿈이 다르듯이 밤은 같지만 너의 밤은 어땠는지 이렇게 이 많은 밤에 이 많은 밤에 수고했어 이 많은 밤에 이 많은 밤에 잊어버리지는 마 소중한 나 잊어버리지는 마 왜냐면 너의 색깔은 없고 새벽에 떨어져 버린 눈 하늘이 파란색인 요요 너에게서 I can see the last night last night last night last night
Alrighty guys, so now we're in the finishing parts of the video. So I'm coloring his eyes right now. His eyes are actually a golden brown based on what I saw, because I don't like it when mangas have like the only colored image is the cover and then everything else is black and white. So I actually had to zoom in like 300% just to see what color his eyes were. I swear they either were gray or a honey brown. I just went with the honey brown because I'm like, gray is kind of like a bland eye color for this character, to be honest. So yeet. And then his clothing didn't really have a color because again it was a manga panel, so I just kind of colored his clothing gray with a little bit of black. One of his hood parts and his clothes had this really cool like effect to it, so I actually took my liner in which I lined this picture with and just did it by hand because I thought it was really cool. And I lined this picture with my Tombow Fudenosuke liner. It's literally one of my favorite multi-liners of all time. I don't use microns anymore. I don't use any of the other ones. I would highly recommend you guys to get the Tombow Fudenosuke pens because they will change your life. They're waterproof, they're marker proof, they're gouache proof at this point. I love these things, so I thought it was really cool that I could easily freehand me doing the design on his shirt with the pen, so I thought that was really cool. And everything else is just kind of like there. I do regret coloring his background blue because there's nothing blue on him. There's more pink than there is blue, so I just kind of wish I colored his background with pink, which would have made him stand out a little bit more, because it would have gave that strawberry lemonade type of vibe, because yellow, pink, strawberry lemonade, but I just totally went against it. So I did add some pink in his clothes to kind of get the pink to go everywhere else, and I did add the pink in his hair as well, just to kind of get the pink to show up everywhere else. But anyways, so that's it for this picture actually. So for the closing, I just wanted to say that it's nice to kind of go back to where you came from. Reason being is because I did this a lot actually when I was younger. I used to take certain manga panels from actual manga or Shonen Jump magazines because that was my main source for manga. I didn't really buy manga books till I was in high school, middle school, late middle school, high school. So before then, I could not afford to get a manga book. I didn't know mangas had physical versions. And even if I did know, I just didn't have the money to afford it. So when I was borrowing Shonen Jump magazines from the library, I would take the time to just draw all I can. And when I had the money to afford to buy my own Shonen Jump magazines, because I didn't really get a chance to buy them unless I asked my grandma, hey, can I get this book? Whenever we were at a grocery store, that's where I was able to kind of keep a physical copy on me to draw at all times. I just took advantage of the situation and I just loved it, and I love it even more that I'm able to stylize panels now, because it's nice to kind of copy something in what you see, which I'm not trying to say copy is a bad thing because it is glorious. I'm even more so happy that I could take what I did when I was younger and make it my own, so it just makes me happy. And yeah, and I don't want to sit there and make this video a pity party about me because I couldn't afford certain things. But I think I'm actually happy to admit that when I was younger, I couldn't afford a lot of the things that I did that I do now. So I didn't take my life for granted. When I was younger, I didn't complain about my life. Yes, it's natural for a youngin' when I was younger to get jealous of people that could afford manga and I couldn't. But you know, I was grateful with my life and I didn't take my life for granted. So I took advantage of all that I had, and now I'm just like, yeah, I didn't regret my life or grew up well, and I like it. Alrighty, so that is it for this video. So give this video a like if you liked it. Comment down whatever you like to say to me in my comment box below. And yeah, so I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.
왜냐면 너